others' taste by choosing men who always took advantage one way or another. Luckily, she and Dylan had reconnected when they'd moved back to Miami years later, but Meg had over-relied on Dylan instead of standing on her own 2 feet. It took Dylan falling hard for another woman to wake Meg up to her too needy ways. Dylan was her friend, but he was now Olivia Dare's husband, and Meg was determined to be independent. Everything the way it should be. "Earth to Meg!" Lizzie waved a hand in front of her eyes. Meg blinked, startled. "Sorry, just got lost there for a minute." "Nowhere good from the look on your face." Lizzie tilted her head to one side, her long blonde curls falling over her shoulder. "Everything okay?" Her friend studied her, her brown eyes soft and concerned. Meg smiled. "Couldn't be better. I was actually thinking about the changes I've made that I'm determined to keep making in my life. And it's really good to be out with you guys," Meg said, meaning it. "It's great to be out with you too," Lizzie said. The waiter stopped by the table and passed out their beverages. Meg took a long sip of her cold soda, appreciating the way it eased her dry throat. "Well, you must be doing something right because you're glowing," Lizzie said. "It's the pregnancy hormones," Meg muttered. "No, seriously, you look beautiful," her friend insisted. Meg smiled at her. "Thank you." Allie Mendez, the office secretary and the third woman in their posse, slipped her cell into her purse and leaned closer to join the conversation. "Maybe I should get myself pregnant because Lizzie's right. You're gorgeous." Meg blushed. "And you two need glasses." "Not if the guys at the next table are any indication. Look, the blonde one can't take his eyes off you," Lizzie said, her voice rising in excitement. Oh no. All Lizzie needed was a target, and she'd be aiming Meg his way all night. "I'm sure he's looking at one of you, not the pregnant woman in the elastic waist pants." Lizzie and her blonde beauty, or Allie and her olive skin and luscious curves, attracted men wherever they went. "You must not have looked in a mirror before leaving the house," Allie told her, a frown on her pretty face. "Oh, look, he's coming this way. Now, remember, there's nothing wrong with getting yourself some before your life gets serious." Lizzie nudged her arm. "I don't want some," Meg muttered. "If he's so hot, you should—" "Hi, ladies," the man said, bracing an arm on the back of Meg's chair. "Hi," Lizzie said too brightly. "My friends and I would like to buy you all a drink." He spoke to the table, but his eyes were on Meg. She shook her head. "We were just having a private We'd like that," Allie chimed in. "Mind if we join you then?" he asked, making Meg wonder if he was dense, oblivious, or just that ego-driven. In response, Lizzie slid her chair away from Meg, making room for the other man to sit, which, after grabbing his chair and pulling it over to the table, he did. His pals joined them too. Meg shot her friend an annoyed look. "Give him a chance," Lizzie mouthed behind the man's back. Rob, Mark, and Ken, they said their names were, as conversation began to flow. Ken was the one closest to Meg, and with his light hair and coloring, he definitely resembled his Barbie doll namesake. Even if she were interested in a hookup, a preppy man who liked to talk about himself wouldn't be her choice. She disliked his wandering hands even more. He brushed her back. She stiffened. He sat forward so their shoulders touched. She shoved her chair in the opposite direction. Somehow he ended up close beside her again, his thigh touching hers. She was all too ready to go home, but her friends seemed to like the guys they were talking to, and she didn't want to ruin their time by being rude to Ken. She wouldn't leave with him, but she'd be pleasant while they were here. "So, what do you do for a living?" he asked. "I'm a kindergarten teacher." He blinked, long lashes framing green eyes. "That's brave." "Don't like kids?" she asked, none too sweetly. He fake shuddered. "Not for a good long while. But you must have a decent pension plan?" he asked, back on the subject he liked best. Ken was a stockbroker and investor, and soon she found herself listening to all the ways she could save more money by investing.